Okay, welcome. And I am so glad that you could all join us. We're accommodating the West Coast, the East Coast, and everything in between, as well as those essential people in Israel. So we know finding time in the middle of your day can be a challenge. So I really want to thank you all for coming here today. And let me start by introducing myself. I'm Cheryl Corlitz. I'm the Director of Gap Year Recruitment for Masa North America. I have been in touch with some of you, but if we haven't spoken directly, you may have received some of my emails. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, before my role at Masa, I was the Director of College Guidance at Farber Hebrew Day School in metropolitan Detroit, working in an Orthodox setting. So I am very familiar with what you do, and I know the specific needs of your students and their families. So I want to share how excited we are at Masa about this meeting today, specifically for Israel and college counselors working in Yeshiva high schools. It's the first time we're doing this, and it's happening directly in response to your requests. You are looking for more information, and we are here to share it with you. So I feel that Yeshiva high schools are doing something extraordinary. Many of you are sending 90% or more of your graduates on a gap year in Israel, and Masa knows what you're doing, and we want to make sure that you have the resources you need to continue to make it happen. And the value that we place on these relationships with Yeshiva high schools inspired a new initiative this year, expanding our communication with you. And to facilitate this initiative, we're working with Phyllis Fold, founder and executive director of AIGYA, which is American Israel Gap Year Association, and author of Find Your Right Direction, the Israel Gap Year Guide. Many of you have worked with Phyllis before, especially if you're on the West Coast. And AIGYA is a longtime partner of Masa, and we couldn't think of anyone better to implement this initiative with. Phyllis is on the call today. If you if you all know her, if you can say hello, Phyllis, you can wave just so that everyone can see who you are.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that I met with a good number of people in the starting this initiative. I'm really very excited. As Cheryl said, we've been longtime partners, and to deepen our relationship and reach out to all of you, it's really a pleasure. And I see a lot of old friends, new friends on this call, so I'm very happy.
Thank you. And Phyllis is going to be your designated liaison this year, but feel free to reach out to either of us at any time. And you will definitely still be receiving Masa emails from me as well, and any correspondence. And today's program is a result of conversations that both Phyllis and I had with Yeshiva high school counselors. We know that you wanted information on Masa's role in your students' gap experience, as well as wanting to get guidelines for your families to use in working with us. In addition, we're hearing more and more that not every Orthodox high schooler is looking for a yeshiva or seminary experience for their gap year. And Masa offers non-yeshiva Orthodox gap programs that are appropriate for your students. And being updated on those programs makes you the best resource for your school community. So we're going to cover a lot of territory today. As you know, it's being recorded, and I'm going to send a follow-up email to all of you that will include the recording, and I hope that you'll share it with your colleagues, anyone you think that would benefit from having this information. So today's program is going to include 4 speakers who are going to be doing short presentations. We're going to save the Q&A for the end after all the speakers have already gone. And so you might want to wait to share your questions until the end because your questions might be addressed in the presentations, but feel free if you'd like to put any questions you have in the chat. Mira Ashtifker, our Masa COO of North America, is going to be manning the chat, and she'll be presenting those questions at the end of the program. So I would like to start by introducing our first speaker, and this is a colleague from Israel. Uriel Edery is the director of Gap Year and Jewish Studies programs. He's based in Israel, and he is going to give you some really essential background information on our relationship with these programs. So Uriel, take it away.
So Cheryl, thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction, first of all, and of course, all your hard work with Phyllis. Hi, everyone. First of all, of course, it's a huge pleasure to me to meet you today in this webinar. I'm Muriel, and as said by Cheryl, I am the director of the Gap Year and the Jewish Studies programs at Masa. Originally, I'm from Uruguay, South America. So if you listen a little bit my my accent, it's from there. Our main goal at Masa, as you know, this is not new for you, but it's to shape a promising future for the individual, for the global Jewish community, and of course for the connection to the state of Israel. As you know, both our gap year programs and the Jewish studies programs gives to the fellows the opportunity to spend a semester or a year experiencing another culture, volunteering, in other kind of programs, interning, in our Jewish studies programs, of course, studying and developing a Jewish identity, and of course, having an adventure before heading to college. I don't think we need to explain, all the different kinds of programs that we have also in the gap year and the Jewish studies program. But as you know, we have our leaderships programs. But I want to concentrate, of course, in our topic of today, in our Jewish studies programs. Through the year, before entering in the relationship with our organizer, it's important for me to add that through the year, our fellows have an amazing Masa journey, and that gives them a global, let's say, a global perspective, and to get a taste of independent living. It's the first time that they go away from home, so it's their first experience, and make lifelong friends, and it's ahead of it's a head start of educational, professional, developing, volunteering opportunities, etc. I myself, I studied in a Jewish studies programs, also from Masa, in Yeshiva Kotel. I came for a year, and then I stay another one, and I was there almost for 7 years. So it was not just a journey of 1 year that shaped, of course, my life. During these years, of course, our fellows will participate in different amazing events. Some of them also our Jewish studies programs, and I will give some details now, are participating. Some of them not, due to the, let's say, those are general events that are less matim to the Jewish studies programs, but we are having of course our opening event with all the fellows. They are taking part of amazing projects such as the Israel Education Initiative, through a variety of educational offerings, including courses, seminars, tiulim. Those are things that I need to say that the last years, they weren't part of the Jewish studies programs. Most of the Jewish studies programs until the last 2-3 years, they weren't, let's say, with a strong connection with our Masa DNA. And Mamash, these days we are trying to develop, and we are not just trying, we are succeeding on develop new initiatives in order to give, let's say, to the Jewish studies programs added value, the Masa added value. We know all of the institutions that work for us, the main identity, we know that the main thing that those institutions, also yeshivot and also midrashot, we know that they are the best in chinuch, they are the best in Jewish identity, but we know that every time we need to give them the added value. As the example I gave now with the Israel Education Initiative, it's something that all our Masa programs, they have, knowing Israel, knowing the politics, knowing the conflict, etc. They do it, but we give them another perspective, we give them tools. We're giving, of course, also a big event at the end of the year, preparing them and giving them tools for their next step. As you may know, the Jewish Studies segment, it has like sub-segments. We have the honor, I need to say, it's a zchut for us. We have, in one hand, Haredi programs. We have Chabad programs and Keru programs. We have our modern Orthodox programs, and we have, of course, also our pluralistic programs. I think we at Masa give the opportunity that our programs represent the essence of Am Yisrael. As you may know, there were some changes the last years in all the financial aid that we at Masa are giving to the programs. Baruch Hashem, in partnership with of course, with the Jewish Agency and the government, but also with the World Mizrahi movement. Baruch Hashem, our Jewish Studies programs fellows, they're able to receive their needs-based scholarships. Those institutions that are partnered with World Mizrahi, they can apply for their needs-based scholarships. Most of our programs now are joining that initiative. This was right for the last 2 years. Of course, as Cheryl or maybe Phyllis will also explain, we didn't open yet our registration for next year, and hopefully we hope this arrangement with the government, the Jewish Agency, and World Mizrahi will continue for next year. Of course, the confirmation will come right after the registration, the opening of the registration. But I wanted to add that our partnership, it's not just in the financial world. Today we have also a partnership with the Mizrahi and with 6 or 7 of the main institutions. We have a group, a staff group, a thinking group, in order to give the fellows new opportunities in Masa. Okay, we are now investing a lot in content, in Zionist content, in Israel content. Hopefully, in 2 weeks, we are having a seminar of preparation for the Jewish Studies programs, directors in all the world of marketing and how to market in a better way their programs. We are having, hopefully, in Yom Yerushalayim, we're having a big event. Today we are having an initiative called Flying the Flag, also partnered with Keren Kayemet. It's a partnership with the Tiulim and Shabbatonim that are dedicated just for the Jewish Studies segment. As said in the beginning, our main goal at Masa is to shape that promising future. So as said, hopefully we are developing also next step events, and based on new partnerships also with important governmental offices such as the Ministry of Education and Ministry of the Diaspora. We're developing amazing also options of volunteering, joint life with Israelis. Some of the Jewish Studies programs are joining now. Describing my job, I'm in charge, of course, of being in touch with all the organizers, of course, with them, trying to help them to refine themselves, to find themselves inside Masa, to try to help them to develop new ideas, and of course, being in contact with them and trying to help. I just wanted to add that during these uncertain days, we together with the organizers, we know how to deal with uncertainty, with surprises, lockdowns, wars, etc. And I think that's the part of the wisdom of our programs, and we have the capacity to remodel and to adjust ourselves in all our Masa programs, but I think specific in the Jewish Studies. I need to say to you that you can be sure that the kids that you are sending here are in the best hands. Of course, I will stay here until the end. So if there are some questions or things, So thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you, Uriel. And as Uriel said, if you have questions specifically for him, feel free to put them in the chat and he'll address them at the end. And now, next up is sort of the man of the hour. I think he's been the man of the hour for the past 2 years, pretty much. We have Amir Kanan with us. He is the Chief of Security and Operations for Masa. He's based in Israel. He has been dealing with the COVID challenges of these past 2 years and much more. So I'm going to let him tell you all about that.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl, and hello, everyone. So my name is Amir Kainan. I am the person that in charge for the safety and security for all the fellows that coming in Israel. I'm going to speak about the 3 main subjects. Of course, all the things that is regards the COVID, and I'm going to speak also about safety and security during the program, and how we are going how we are doing it in regular days. And of course, the last thing is about if emergencies happen, so how we are working with it, and how can we handle all kinds of situations. So first of all, regarding COVID, so in the last 2 years, we managed to handle all the situation pretty good. We didn't stop bringing fellows into Israel no matter what. Maybe we had some challenges during the way for closing the skies for in Israel, but even though it was something like 2 weeks, three weeks stop, and then we continued working. During the time, we have we acquire a lot of people in the right government places, and that we are able to give all the guidelines and all the right things that we need to obtain that the fellows will come to Israel. I'm in direct contact with the in the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Interior Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Education, and of course our friends in the Jewish Agency. We have our way to work, and that we will able to allow a participant to come to Israel. So at that point, every foreign citizen, if he wish, can come to Israel. He must be vaccinated in the last 180 days, 6 months. If he got his second dose at that point, so it's okay. If not, a booster shot, and again, you will be able to come. What you need to present is your CDC card that you're getting from your government, and that's all. What I'm recommending is to handle all the things regarding the visa students before coming to Israel, working with the consul around the US. If we have some problems specific with those consul, the program managers are in contact with me, and we are trying to help with that. One of our things that we want to apply from next year is starting working only by email with all the consuls. So if we will able to send all the documents and info that we need to the consul, and after they will see and approve all the documents, we will be able to get our visa via mail and email, and not starting working that we need to go a person to the personally to the consul or sending by a regular mail. So this is one of the big challenges that we want to make sure that will happen. When we are entering Israel, we are doing a PCR test on the airport, and when we'll get the results, of course, if it's negative, we will be able to leave a quarantine. Until then, until the results will send to us, where the fellows will need to be in quarantine. The quarantine will be in the under the supervision of the organizers, and they will make sure that everything is going as planned and everything is okay with the student until we leave the quarantine. I can say that all our organizers are doing the best they can, and they're doing a great job. They have they did that in the last 2 years, and they did it very good. So I hope that they will keep that way, and everyone will be feeling safe and secure during the quarantine time. If someone, of course, is feeling not good, feeling sick, each program must have insurance, health insurance that will take care of all things regarding COVID, and of course whatever they need. So this is pretty much about the entry process and all things regarding COVID. Meanwhile, there are still have a lot of things to do here in Israel. Most of the things are still open. We don't have a lockdown or something like that, and I don't think that we will have in the next few months. Even though that we have a lot of positive testing in the last 2 weeks. As Uriel mentioned earlier, we have a lot of things and opportunities that the fellows are able to see in Israel. They do a lot of field trips, a lot of activities. All of those are coordinating through me regarding safety and security. All of the field trips are getting the right instructions, how to do, when to do, where, and if something is wrong, they will get an immediate phone call for the man in charge on the field trip, and they will get all the instructions what to do. We have something that's called Moked Teva, and he's responsible for all the field trips around Israel. And this is about field trips. And what can I tell about the way that we are living here day by day? So in each program, they have a man that is in charge, man or woman, that is in charge for all the safety and security in the program. Those people are in personal contact with me all the time, all day long, even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. They are consulting me. They are telling me everything that is happening in the program, and they get all the guidelines that they need. And of course, if some emergency will happen, they will contact me, and we will figure out what to do. This is Israel. I'm sure that you are all aware of all the things that is can happen here. And last year we had some tents with in Gaza Strip. So at that time, all the organizers contact me every day to let me know that everyone is okay, what are their needs, and what can we do to help them. Jonathan Sinclair, that will speak after me, will tell about all the things that emotions and all the psychology and stress that if someone needs to get help with. And of course, if we need to cancel trips or activities because we have some info regarding the place or the time, of course we will not oscillate, and we will change the date or the place of the event. So this is basically all the things that I wanted to talk to you about today. So Cheryl, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Amir. And if you do have specific questions, once again, put it in the chat, and Amir will be here until the end to address those questions for you. And now our third speaker is Yonatan Sinclair, and Amir just referred to him. He's the co-founder of Keshev. And I'm going to tell you that I think any of us who work with high school students, we know that mental health issues have really become like a piece of the educational journey for these kids. And if you're working in a high school, it's so much a part of what you need to offer to these, to high schoolers to make sure that they're getting through their high school years. And this was true before COVID, and I think it has increased. Certainly, you all know this. I don't need to tell it to you. So I think you're going to appreciate what Yonatan has to share with you. He's going to talk to you about this new mental health initiative that we have begun with our program organizers on the ground in Israel. So Yonatan, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. And shalom lekulam. My name is Yonatan. I'm the co-founder of Keshev. I used to work in the gap year world for many years. And basically, we founded Keshev almost a year and a half ago to try and create a, let's call it a proactive educational approach to mental health in the space of experiential programs. What do I mean by that? I mean, as Cheryl said and referred to, we all understand that today when we're sending our students on to Israel, they're not just going to deal with, do they succeed in the midterm exams and how do they do in the program and any, safety and security, which Amir referred to, was obviously always on the top of our list of priorities. But I think today we all understand that mental health is a big part of it. We're sending them to a different country. They're going to deal there with a lot of social pressures and whatever enterprise they're in, pressures of success, and the general anxiety and depression levels, as we know now from recent studies in the United States, are getting close to 45% in young adolescents. We understand that COVID has played a big part in it. And what we come and say is that it's good and important that every school and every institution and every program of Masa has a therapist they can refer to. But what's more important, or what could even be better, I guess, is to take a proactive approach and say, I can send all the kids that need, but if there are more and more kids, something has to change in the holistic approach to the program. And what we aim to do is create a program geared at the staff, so that the staff of the programs, whether it's the heads of the programs, the teachers, the madrichim and madrichot in the program, have tools, awareness, understanding, the ability to identify early on anything to do with mental health, and also the capacity to create a well-being environment around the program so that, things that could otherwise be overlooked will not be, and anything will be treated as soon as possible. So that's what we aim to do. We've partnered now with Masa to run this program for as many programs of Masa as are interested in. And I think in that sense, I'm happy to take questions, but that's really what we're trying to do in a nutshell. I will say that as, guidance counselors, I think there's always a big part of the preparation to Israel and the explanation and allowing people, a prism into what the programs are, and also speaking just about challenges in general, right? I think we've moved out of, understanding that we only need to, the only way to prepare people is to say that everything is great and everything is amazing. And the more our students come prepared, knowing that things might be challenging, that things will be hard, but there are staff, and Masa personnel and the programs in general are aware and are there to help you through it. So all you need to do is say, request, be honest about it. I think that's a big part where we can, as a community of people who are preparing students to go to Israel, also speak about. And again, I'm happy to take questions at the end.
Actually, Yonatan, before you leave, I think I'm just going to ask a quick question because now I want to know. So this initiative is available to every single Masa program that there is, yes? And so but they have to tell you if they want to use the program. Is that how it goes?
Yeah. So what we're offering now is Masa and Keshev are running together a few training days, running some short workshops. This is being offered to all Masa programs. And what we hope is that at some point, and it doesn't necessarily have to be us and whatever, but any program of Masa will have the Israel Guidance Counselors asking, has your staff been trained in mental health, understanding the importance and how crucial it is for the students that you yourselves as the guidance counselors in the schools are sending and trusting the schools with, to be able to trust and know that all the programs you are sending to have enough guidance, support, and understanding of the mental health situations they will be dealing with when all the students arrive and are on their programs in Israel.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'm sure people will probably have more questions too. So once again, if you have
I'm
questions,
sticking around.
good. Thank you, Yonatan. And actually, acharon, it's me. I am the last presenter. I'm actually going to use a PowerPoint. I'm going to quickly go over the application and funding process for Masa, because I know about you, but I tend to get a lot of questions from parents and students about that, and I want to make sure you have as much information as possible to help students. So I am going to share my screen. Okay, does everybody see it? It's all good? Excellent. Okay, so I hope that I'm not going to repeat too much. I know a lot of you have been doing this a long time, so you might know all of this, but let's give it a try and hopefully there'll be some new information for you. So the first thing that I want to do is that many of you might only be working in the Jewish studies space. So I just want to give you an overall view of the scope of what Masa does, who Masa is. So you may be aware that we are an organization that is supported by the Jewish Agency and the State of Israel. We bring young Jewish students and professionals for opportunities in Israel, ages 16 through 35. They are from around the world, and Masa is an incredibly global operation. We have offices all over the world. And these programs, we say 16 now because we did add high school programs this year, and we go up to 35. So GAP is just one piece of that. We also have study abroad college programs, and then post-college, we have career internship-based programs. There are many English language GAP programs outside of the Jewish studies space. There are about 20 of them. 4 of those are actually Orthodox based. And then we have quite a few pluralistic programs that have Orthodox cohorts within them that may be appropriate for your students. Most of your students are going on full academic year programs, but we do offer semester-based programs as well, for volunteering and career programs, which your students may be interested in as well. And then, of course, we offer funding in the form of universal grants and need-based scholarships. This term, fellows, I want to define because any of you who are working with Masa and you get our literature, our correspondence, it might be confusing. And sometimes people say, what are these fellows? So I just want to clarify that anyone who's doing a Masa program, we call them a fellow. So your students who are going to be in Israel on a gap year program will be called a Masa Gap Fellow. It's that simple, but just want to make sure to clarify terminology. So how do you become a fellow? The process is straightforward, and most of you are doing this. First of all, the student searches for the program, they apply, they get accepted to the program. And it's only after they've been accepted to a program that Masa actually is going to become a part of their world officially. So we are there to help them find programs as well. If you ever want to send any of your students to our resources to choose a program, but you all do a pretty good job of that. And then the next step after they get their program is to apply to Masa, and the funding is all taken care of at the same time that the application is taken care of. Whoops. So I just want to mention here a bit about the application process for non-yeshiva seminary programs, because many of you are probably just working with the yeshiva and seminary joint application, and the application process is a little different for the other programs that they might be applying to. So first of all, you have a lot of deadlines with the yeshiva applications. You know that everything all happens at once, even the announcement of when everybody gets in. So the deadlines work differently, and there are some deadlines in the other process, but very often those are incentives for financial reasons. So if you miss a deadline, you might just miss out on a discount. So that's something to be aware of, that the deadlines are a little different. It's not quite as competitive either. In some of the East Coast schools, especially, getting into certain yeshivas and seminaries is very competitive. In this application process, most students are going to be accepted. There are some that are not, and that would be mostly for social or mental health reasons. But in general, the students can apply almost like a rolling admission and apply later if they decide to change their mind. But it is important to understand that some of these programs do sell out. So if you know a student wants to get into a program, have them fill out that application. For instance, things that apply to you, Israel XP at Bar Ilan University, the women's campus tends to fill out by March. So it's really important to get their applications in. In addition, last year, Kivun sold out, and they had a wait list, and kids did not get in off the wait list. So it is important to not necessarily be aware of deadlines, because they're not as straightforward as with the yeshiva applications, but they do actually count for something here. And then in terms of the application, it's very similar. There's going to be an essay that's required, and usually it can be a modified college essay. Letters of recommendation will be asked for. Sometimes they'll ask for a rabbi or a Jewish communal leader. And the interview is really the most important part, very much like with the yeshiva and seminaries. So students should be prepared to do an interview. The Masa application. So I think Uriel mentioned that the Masa application is not available yet. And this is something that I know that you are all always asking about and aware of. The Masa application becomes available later in the year. We can't tell you exactly when it's going to become available. I wouldn't expect it before Passover. It's usually, spring or later. Last year it was almost into the summer. So you had that frustration, I know, but we're hoping that this year that will not be the case. So when the application goes live, you would send your students to the Masa website, masaisrael.org. That's where they fill out the application. It is really pretty simple. It's only like about 10 questions. It has to do with eligibility. Most of your students are going to be eligible. And then they fill out the application. They need to know that there is a fee to that, and that they're going to need their passport, because you have to have a passport number in order to fill out that application. One thing I do want to mention that I think you will find helpful, though, if you are not aware of this, instead of having to keep track and constantly asking, when is the application becoming available? If you want to send a student or their family, they can fill out a pre-registration form on the Masa website. And if you go on, it's the same place where you would go to apply. And so you fill out a pre-registration form for 2022-23. They will automatically be notified when the application goes live. So that way it takes off some of that stress and frustration, and they can feel easy that they're already in the Masa system and they don't have to worry about it. So I really encourage you to share that information with your students and parents. So I can talk about how the funding works. I cannot tell you what the actual funding is going to be for next year, because we don't have that information yet, but I will tell you what it has been for the last 2 years, and we usually hope that those numbers are going to be similar, if not to continue. So first of all, talking about the grants. You're all aware that the Jewish Studies space, those programs do not receive the universal grant anymore. They are available to all Masa GAP program participants, and they come in two amounts, either $800, which is given to any student doing a Masa academic GAP program, and we define those programs as the ones that are receiving college credit. There are 4 of those programs. All the other GAP programs receive $200 grants. Then there are the scholarships. And the scholarships are available on a need-based basis, and they go up to $3,000. And these are available to all GAP program participants who are eligible. And as Uriel mentioned, for the past 2 years, because of this relationship with Mizrahi, there have been some of the Jewish studies programs that have been eligible for these scholarships. We hope they continue, but at this moment, I can't say they're necessarily going to be continued for next year. And for those Jewish studies students, it was also in the amount of up to $3,000. And then there's one program I want to let you know about that falls into a different category, and that's Israel XP at Bar Ilan University is eligible for the academic grant, and it's considered more in the study abroad category, even though it is a GAP program and in the GAP space, because you get to do your first year in Israel at a university and it's university based, they get the $1,250 academic grant. So that is only for Israel that falls into that category. And finally, here are a few pieces of information that may help you in talking about funding for students and parents. First of all, when it comes to the grants, if they're doing a GAP program, there's absolutely no need to apply for grants. They're automatically applied to the student's tuition bill. When they go onto the website and they fill out the application, there's actually nothing. It's confusing sometimes for students. There's nothing that they have to fill out for the grant. So they just fill out the Masa application. And like I said, the grant will be applied directly to their bill. In terms of the need-based scholarships, when they go to fill out the application online, they will be prompted and asked if they would like to apply for financial aid. They would say yes, and then the forms will become available to them at that time online. They fill out those forms just like they would for any other financial aid, and they're going to be asked for tax returns, things like that, very similar to what they would fill out for a FAFSA, but a lot less intricate, to be honest. And so they would do that at the time of the application. Something that you might not be aware of, and I think is really important to share with students and parents, is there is a funding calculator on our website, just like there is for colleges and universities. You can find a funding calculator to figure out tuition. On their website, we have the same thing. If they go to masaisrael.org, and there is the funding tab, and if you go there, you will find the funding calculator, and students and their families can fill out that the form there, and they will be told if they're going to be eligible for need-based financial aid, and if they are, they will get an estimate on what amount of scholarship they would be eligible for. And the final thing you need to know about funding is that the student or the family never have to deal with the money. All the funding is sent directly to the providers, and it is applied to their final bill that is sent to them. So that makes it easier for them as well. So that is the end of my presentation, and hopefully there were some additional pieces of information that will be helpful when you're talking to students and their families, because those are the questions that come up most of the time. So if you have any questions about those, also put those into the chat. And now I know Mira has been manning the chat, and she will present any of those questions that you have out there so we can answer them.
Everybody, it's nice to see you here. This is our first time doing this, and after working with Cheryl and Phyllis, we realized that the day school religious space is something where we really have to pay attention to. You guys are sending a lot of your students on gap year programs, and we want to make sure that everybody gets on the right gap year program for them. I think we all care that students need to be in the program that best suits their needs, so they're going to have a fulfilling year and come out of their year in Israel having had a great experience where they've learned a lot about themselves, Israel, Jewish people, and all those good things. So kol hakavod to Cheryl and Phyllis, thank you so much, and thank you all for being here. The only question that I saw in the chat was from Phyllis herself, is The one question was about Israeli parents and passports. So if parents are Israeli, we recommend the kids get Israeli passports. They can easily get a waiver from the government to do the army. Amir, correct me if I'm wrong. Amir lifted his head. He's like, "Whoa." So what do we say? All the kids who have Israeli parents, just get the Israeli passport. It'll be a lot easier than having a lot of questions at the airport and having to deal with it in Israel. Get your Israeli passport. There's enough time between now and then they would go. And then they just let the government know, the consulate know that they live in America, and they'll get like an easy p'tor, like a release from the army, and it's not a big deal. I got one 20 years ago when I went on my gap year. It's very simple. But please just make sure that they do it. Nobody wants to have to deal with all that bureaucracy in Israel and have to fill out forms that they probably don't know answers to. So go to your consulates now and start dealing with things. The other question I see here is the $200 grant also for the Yeshiva programs. It depends on which program. The $200 grant is really for people who are in gap year programs. And you can see what's allocated as such on our website. My recommendation is send everyone to the website, send your students to go look things up on the website, use the grant calculator to see about how much, and be in touch with our experts. Cheryl's an expert on gap year. She can tell you all the ins and outs, and Phyllis as well. They are your best point of reference for everything.
And I can just tell you that the grants that are applicable to GAP programs apply to actually the regular universal grant of $200 goes to 3 of the Orthodox programs. So that would be Kivun, Mechina Olamit, and Shalem. Those 3 programs are going to get the $200 grant. And I mentioned already Israel XP at Bar Ilan is getting a larger grant of $1,250. So.
A couple last things is we see a huge rise in students wanting to switch out of their yeshiva program to a more experiential in the middle of the year. And we really recommend that you guide your students from the beginning and say, is this maybe the right thing for them? There's a reason for the popularity of Bar Ilan and the popularity of the Bnei Akiva Kivun program. There's a lot of great things happening there. So please, like, let's think about and have honest conversations with our students from the beginning. Yes, there is an application for the Masa scholarship and grant. If you are applying for a non-yeshiva program, there's an application fee, I believe. I think it's across the board.
So I have one, I put it in the chat, but I'm not sure, in regards to like Bar Ilan XP is a university program, but Hebrew U also has a gap year program. Like, would they be eligible for that larger grant if somebody went on that?
Yeah, so all the study abroad programs, so they're just in a different category. They're put into the academic or study abroad programs. And so that is the amount of the grant. What? Oh, okay. I thought I heard someone asking. But anyway, so that's the amount of the grant that's given to Tel Aviv University, Reichman University, which some of you may know as IDC, it's now Reichman, and Hebrew University and Ben Gurion. So those are all getting those, they're getting that anyway. The issue that I have with some of those programs is that I find it very confusing. Some of the universities, are they going to accept that as a gap year program, or are you going to have to then apply as a transfer student? That's where it gets complicated, and that has to do with the college or university that the student is matriculated at. So that's why they're not necessarily in the gap space. They're not, so. So I don't know, if there's no more questions, so you.
Cheryl, can I ask a question? Yeah. Sorry, are you able to share your PowerPoint that you just presented?
Oh, sure. You mean right now, or you want me to send it to everyone after?
Yeah, like send it out. We can have it to refer back to.
Absolutely. I will send that. So I'm going to, I don't know if I mentioned this when I talked about the recording, I'm going to be sending a follow-up email that's going to include the recording, and I will definitely add the PowerPoint to that. So you have that information. You'll also have my email, and we'll put Phyllis's contact information in that email. It'll have everything. So you can reach out to us anytime that you would like. Yeah.
If you don't know enough about all the programs, but you want to direct your students to them, you can connect your students directly to Cheryl, and she'll walk the families and the students through the different programs to give them all the ins and outs. I know there's a lot of different things and it's hard to be an expert on everything. So, but Cheryl is the expert on everything. So she can really connect them and walk them through it all. So please use her as a resource.
Yes, please do. And so this is terrific. I just look forward to communicating with you more and more. And now we have Phyllis with us too. So please don't be shy and reach out at any time. So thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll be in touch.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.